So I'm sitting in my room last night. I'm watching the Devils play the Flyers, which turned out to be an amazing game, by the way. The Devils came back. They were down 3-2. A couple minutes left. They scored twice to win it in regulation. It was a 4-point game. Huge game. But I'm prepping for the show. I'm trying to think of a clever opening line because that clever opening line can really bring in the fans. And boom, it came to me. This is the open. Yes, I know, it's pretty corny. But I promise today's show will be better than the intro. Along with my co-host, who is back from having the flu.
Yes, thank God. Oh my God, it was one of the worst things in the world, honestly.
That is Sean McCabe, and I'm James Koklak. How the heck are you, bud?
Now, I have never been better a single day in my life. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing well. Today's show is jam freaking packed with breaking news from the NBA, a major superstar going west to east, as well as another trade that happened in one of the four major sports. We also dive a little bit into the NHL All-Star Weekend, and lastly, but not least, we preview the biggest one sporting event of the year, Super Bowl 52. All that next, right here on BTH.
Your number one source for sports.
You know who I can't stand? Kevin Durant.
He looks like Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton had a kid.
Now, who can argue with that?
I hate Boston.
I'm the biggest Miami Heat hater you'll ever meet.
I just don't understand where you're getting your bogus information from.
What the hell are you even talking about?
Well, I'm sorry you're too freaking sensitive to handle the truth.
You think I'm crazy? I'm just getting warmed up.
You're now Between the Hashmarks with James Koklak and Sean McCabe.
When it comes to the All-Star Game in the four major sports, the respective sports have found it difficult to make it competitive for the players and more entertaining for the fans. Who wants to see all the players in the world goofing off? The true fans want to see them at their best. The NHL has gotten it right with the 3-on-3 tournament, with the winning team taking home $1 million. 3-on-3 gives the players a vast amount of ice to work with, and skilled players really thrive with that kind of ice. It's so entertaining, I personally believe the NHL should get rid of the shootout to decide a game and make it overtime 10 minutes 3-on-3. With players like Connor McDavid and Anze Kopitar teaming up on the Pacific team, and Crosby and Ovechkin, two of the biggest names in hockey, playing on the same line with that kind of ice is all a fan can ask for. That being said, the NHL hasn't gotten the whole weekend completely right just yet. First, I'd like to start with a couple things that I like. The league took away the crazy shootout with nobody taking it serious and added the save streak challenge, which led both the players and the goalies trying pretty hard to either score or make the save. The battle between Fleury and Pekka Rinne, the goalies for the Vegas Golden Knights and the Nashville Predators respectively, was intense as Rinne had a 13 save streak during the shootout and Fleury went on to top that. This is where the shootout belongs, not to end a regular season game. The NHL also switched from foam-type plates to LED targets during the shooting challenge, where players must hit all 5 targets while being timed. The player must shoot at the target that is lit up bright blue. If hit, it will turn red and stay red. After 3 seconds, if the target isn't hit, the light will change to a different target. It keeps the NHL player on their toes which target to shoot for. I loved how the NHL went back to the traditional skate around the rink for the fastest skater competition, and to no surprise, Connor McDavid took home first place. Now in the passing event, I love the new pass to the targets, and 2 of the 4 targets are elevated a couple inches for a saucer pass. I also love having to pass into the small nets while having to saucer it over that little barrier each time. It is much harder than it looks, trust me. There are definitely things the NHL did right, but one major change that needs to happen is players, whether they made the All-Star game itself or not, should be in the skills competition if they're the defending champion or to be known for dominating in whatever event it may be. Shea Weber is the reigning hardest shot champ, consistently hitting between 103 and 105 miles per hour, and Zdeno Chara is the record holder with 108.8. Yes, you heard that right, 108.8 miles per hour. That happened not too long ago. Neither partook in the event this year due to not making the All-Star game. Now, I would have Ovechkin in the event, and he won the event hitting the only shot of the night in triple digits at 101.3. Nobody else even hit 99. The event is something a lot of hockey fans look forward to each year, and this year's event was dull. There are plenty of other players around the league who were all-stars who weren't voted in by fans, like Phil Kessel, who in my opinion would have won the shooting challenge. Not all great players make the All-Star game, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't be allowed to partake in the skills competition. They should have the best of the best in each category, whether they made the All-Star team or not, in the skills competition. If the NHL ever wants to overtake the MLB's Home Run Derby as the most entertaining sports All-Star event to watch, then this move is a must.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. When I saw that non-All-Stars weren't allowed in these skills competitions at all, it was absolutely bewildering to me. How are you going to have, and you already said it, Zdeno Chara, the guy who hit a 108.8 mile an hour shot, not in the fastest shot competition, and the guy who ends up winning doesn't even, he's 7 miles an hour underneath that. That's absolutely ridiculous to me. If you look at the NBA and the MLB All-Star weekends, which in my opinion are the two best, I think the NHL is third, NFL trash. But the NBA this year, the 2018 NBA skills contest, they have 6 players that are not in the NBA All-Star game. There's a total of 8 in that competition. 2 of them are in the All-Star game. The 6 are not. You can still have those players. It's not exclusive to non-All-Star players, but it shouldn't just be exclusive to All-Star players. And if you look at the MLB, Justin Bour, who dominated that first round and almost beat Aaron Judge, who ended up winning the whole damn thing. He wasn't in the MLB All-Star game, but he put on a hell of a show. How is the NHL messing up here?
I don't know, and it really is. It's just a big question mark on the whole weekend because they do a good job.
Yeah, and it seems really like the things that you mentioned, I saw them and it was like, wow, look at that! Like the LED targets. Before that they made that change. They had these foam things they were using since the 80s.
That had like a bullseye.
Yeah.
It just, I loved what they did with that part. But I just want to give you a quick stat, really quick. Phil Kessel, I mentioned his name in the shooting. He's got the best release in hockey.
Yeah,
the best release in hockey. Through 52 games this year, he has 21 goals, which is average for a star player like him.
Yeah.
Okay? But he's got 38 assists. Telling me that he doesn't belong in that passing competition?
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous.
That's absolutely ridiculous. And another player that I want to bring up is Vladimir Tarasenko. Okay? He's got, first of all, in the last 3 years, 2016 he had 40 goals. Last year he had 39. And this year through 53 games, he's got 21 goals already, 47 points, 26 assists, and he's a plus 18 on top of that.
Yeah, he sounds like an all-star player.
He's a top 5 player in the league, without question. And he's got a top 3 release in the league. How is he not in the passing competition or the shooting competition? There are so many star players out there that aren't even in the all-star game, let alone the skills competition. That's where the NHL has to make the change if they want to overtake the MLB or the NBA.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And like they have it right. I mean, it's 4 younger up-and-coming players that are just raw talent, have these raw skills, and like you can see them, and then years to come, those players end up being in all-star games. So you could be like, oh, that would be really nice to see them in an all-star game, and boom, they are a couple of years later. You get to see them when they're rookies or second or third year players.
The 3-on-3 though, man, it is phenomenal to see. First, you had Ovechkin assisting Crosby. You had Crosby assisting Ovechkin. It's the 2 names that everybody thinks of when they think of hockey nowadays. Is Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin. Seeing them play on the same line with all that open ice, there's nothing better than that. That is where the NHL did go right, and the game itself, I think, is better than the NBA and the MLB and the NFL. I think the NHL has got the game itself right.
Yeah, no, I could definitely agree with that, and I also agree with you that the NHL should remove the shootout and use this format in the regular season of 3-on-3 because it is fun, it is exciting, and it's not going to take a long time for teams to score when it's 3-on-3 because all that open ice.
Yeah, and right now they do 5 minutes of 3-on-3 and then a shootout. I've been saying for over a year now they need to eliminate the shootout, add another 5 minutes. You will get a goal scored in that 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
You may not get it in the first 5, but you're going to get it in the second 5 because players get tired. That's a lot of ice. A hockey rink is big. It's 200 feet long.
Yeah. Well, besides adding non-all-stars to the skills contest, what else could the NHL do to make this all-star weekend perfect?
I think maybe adding a rookie challenge. So
like the NBA.
Yeah, kind of. So you can have all these events and then have these events with just rookies and see like the Nico Heishers and the Nolan Patricks of the world this year, the first and second overall draft pick in the All-Star weekend itself. Maybe not the game itself, but the weekend itself, taking part in the skills competitions because those players got talent and you want to see what they're going to do as futures come. Sometimes people don't always have NHL center ice. It's a lot of money to have it for the year. You don't always get to see these players play.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the one showcase that you can showcase your players, and I think they should be there.
Yeah, no, I one of the things I love about the NBA All-Star Weekend is that rookies versus sophomores game, and I think adding something like that, or just adding a rookie event, I think that would be really, really great for the weekend itself and the sport as a whole. Now, shifting from one sport to another, we had a top All-Star level player change teams. Find out who we are talking about and how it affects things moving forward in that particular league. You are listening to BTH.
You're listening to Between the Hashmarks with James Koklak and Sean McCabe, brought to you by an unknown sponsor we don't have yet. Now back to the show.
And welcome back to BTH. We just destroyed the NHL for completely butchering their skills contest compared to other sports, not allowing non-all-stars in. But now we shift gears from one sport to another. Unless you live under a rock, you are aware of the big NBA blockbuster trade that sent Clippers Blake Griffen to the Pistons and sent the Pistons Avery Bradley, Tobias Harris, Boban Marjanovic, and a first-round pick to the Clippers. James, who won this trade?
If I could say nobody, I'd say nobody because
Okay, that's fair.
But I think the Clippers won this trade because they got rid of Blake Griffin's contract. It's a massive contract.
Yep.
He's going to be owed a lot of money in 2021. I think it's $37.5 million for that year. It's a player option. And, you know, they may not have gotten a lot of back. Yeah, they got a first-round pick. It's top 4 protected, though.
I actually think the players they got back are pretty decent. Avery Bradley, he's a ball hawk on the defensive end, and we saw him in Boston, how effective he was and how crucial he was for that team. And Tobias Harris, he's averaging like 14, 15 points a game for the Pistons this year. He just a little bit of a scorer. I mean, it's. I think what they got back, and the first round pick, I think is really important. Getting that first round pick is what makes the trade for the Clippers, and that's why I think the Clippers are, and I give the slight edge to them in this trade.
Well, question for you.
Okay.
Would you, now, it seems that the Clippers are in full rebuild.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll probably see DJ go. We'll probably see Lou Will go. But will we see Tobias Harris and Avery Bradley get traded as well?
Yeah, that's interesting, because if they are in full rebuild mode, they should be looking to trade those players as well, because those are players that will
help a contender.
Yeah, a team like Cleveland would love Avery Bradley because he can defend the three and he can shoot the three, and that's like the thing that a team like that really needs.
Yes.
And Tobias Harris, he's a scorer, and he can put the ball in the hoop, and that's a very important thing in basketball, in case you didn't know that.
Any team could use a Tobias Harris right now, especially a playoff team, maybe like the Bucks.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So,
but the Pistons, I understand why they did this trade. Like, they've been 9th in the East, like every year, and since like that seems like they won the championship back
since
in
the Bad Boys.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like they needed to do something, but I don't think this is good enough. I just feel like they gave up too much for something. I mean, Blake Griffen, great player, great talent. I mean, his first game, I believe he had 24 points and 10 rebounds. Great game. If he can continue to have those games, it's going to be a really good trade for the Pistons. But you know what? He always seems to get injured in crunch time, like 3 weeks before the end of the regular season or like the first round of the playoffs. And the team that he's on, the Clippers, they've completely fold when he gets injured, and I feel like the same thing is going to happen with the Pistons, and there's not even a guarantee that they make the playoffs. They still have to, they're chasing the Bucks, they're chasing the Sixers, they're chasing the Pacers. I mean, and even if they do make it, it looks like they'll have an early round exit either against Boston, Toronto, or Cleveland. So
yeah, this trade doesn't make too much sense for the Pistons wise for me. I think that they could have gotten another talent,
and they get rid of their future.
And they've gotten rid of their future. So it's mind-boggling, because when you think of Detroit basketball, you think of the Bad Boys, you think of them being good, the Richard Hamiltons, the Chauncey Billups,
exactly.
After the Bad Boys.
Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace.
Tayshaun Prince.
Yes, Prince.
So there's so much talent that went through that organization, and now it looks like Andre Drummond is really the only guy there, and they bring in a Blake Griffen. Now, Blake Griffen can stay healthy and play up to his potential. This could work.
It could.
But it's asking a lot.
Yeah, no, and I mean, they're expecting, I understand why they got rid of Avery Bradley, because they have Reggie Jackson coming back, and Reggie Jackson, he's a talented player, but also it's like he's kind of a ball hog, and like, I mean, I feel like I've seen this before, where we have a really good center, a really good power forward, and a decent point guard, but it was the Clippers before, and they did it better with Chris Paul and DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah,
I mean,
Lob City.
Yeah.
It's weird, Lob City's done.
Yeah.
Lob City is done.
And it seems like it looks like the Lakers are now the preferable Los Angeles team again, and it's just like it's weird not having a good Los Angeles basketball team.
It really is, and the Clippers, they're going to be the same old Clippers again.
yeah, and it's frustrating because they really had a chance. They were playing actually good basketball this year. I believe they were the 8th seed before they made this trade. Not that they would have beaten the Warriors in the first round or anything like that, but they had Lou Williams, they had DeAndre Jordan, they still had Blake Griffen. All that they needed was just another piece to bring in, and look, wow, now you're the 5th seed, and now you're not
Maybe
getting
the second round of the playoffs.
Exactly. So it's just frustrating to see that. And I mean, I don't think Doc Rivers. I love Doc Rivers. I don't think he's going to be able to do any coaching miracles with this team.
I was just about to ask you how many years you think Doc's got left with the Clips.
Yeah, no, I think they're going to end up missing the playoffs, and I think they're going to get rid of him. So I think this year, if they make the playoffs, I think they give him another year. But if they miss the playoffs, which I think is definitely going to happen now, especially because DeAndre Jordan, he's going to be gone. Lou Williams is going to be gone. I expect both of them to be gone, if not one of them. Definitely one of them.
I expect, if they're in full rebuild, I expect both of them plus Tobias Harris and Avery Bradley to be gone. You want to take in as much talent, young talent, and prospects and draft picks as you can if you're going through a rebuild. And it's a little bit easier to rebuild with basketball because there's not as many players.
Yeah, no, exactly. One player can make all the difference in basketball. And, I mean, for the Pistons, if they miss the playoffs with this trade, complete waste, complete bust, and I feel like they're going to have to completely just restart this whole thing because Drummond's contract is huge, Griffin's contract is huge, and Reggie Jackson I feel like they're going to be getting rid of after if it doesn't work out. So
I'd say even start with Stan Van Gundy. Bring in Jeff.
Oh my God, one brother for another. But yeah, no, I really, I mean, I could see them moving into the playoffs, but the injury is what really scares me. And I mean, Drummond, he can't hit a free throw to save his life. It's like he's like the lesser version of DeAndre Jordan. I don't even know. Don't
even get me started with the free throws because it pisses. How could you be paid millions of dollars a year and play basketball for a living and not hit a shot when nobody is guarding you from 11 feet out? What is it?
15 feet.
15 feet.
Wow. Yeah, no,
I could hit that shot.
Shaq would be the all-time leading scorer if he just hit a little more free throws. So
it's unbelievable. But one thing for sure is one superstar in Blake Griffen was traded in the NBA from the Los Angeles Clippers to the Detroit Pistons. Yes, it's like a 70-degree difference in weather in those cities, so I feel bad for Blake.
Absolutely.
But we also had a trade in the NFL involving a quarterback.
What?
Find out who next on BTH.
You're listening to Between the Hashmarks with James Koklak and Sean McCabe, brought to you by an unknown sponsor we don't have yet. Now back to the show.
Trades. Going from one trade to another. Which one will work out better? We just discussed Blake Griffen going west to east, Los Angeles to Detroit. Will that work out for the Pistons? We shall see. We gave you our takes, but we're now going to jump into a different sport with a major trade happening. Yes, a quarterback, a playoff quarterback, was traded. Alex Smith goes from Kansas City to the Washington Redskins for a third-round draft pick, and Kendall Fuller going to the Kansas City Chiefs. He's a pretty good defensive back. Now, what is your opinion on this? Do you think that they made the right trade? Is Kirk Cousins the right quarterback? Alex Smith the right quarterback? This is a major move for an NFL team.
I think the Redskins, they made the correct decision here because they got a quarterback who is more consistent than Kirk Cousins. And not that the consistency is better, but I think in the Redskins' case, it makes them a lot better. And they lacked that from Kirk Cousins. If you look at his stats, the games that they lost, yeah, he had great stats the last couple of years, but the games that they lost this past year, he had a 54% completion percentage against the Giants, a game they should have won. 55% against the Chargers, where they got completely demolished. Week 1 against the Eagles, 57%, where they got they lost pretty handily against the Chiefs. Just tough competition, 58% against. He has games where they lost and he played well, but I mean it's a game 70 completion percentage against the Dallas Cowboys, but they lost 38-14. Like, how much is that real, or how much is that garbage time? With Alex Smith, he actually had a very, very good season this year. If you compare Kirk Cousins to Alex Smith had about 50 less yards, but about on 50 less attempts. He had 1 less touchdown, but 8 less interceptions. Higher passer rating, 104 compared to 93. So I think they got way better in consistency. What do you think?
Well, I think that the passing attempts for the 50 less yards, I think a lot of that has to do with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is a long threat. When he's going for a 60-yard, 70-yard touchdown every other game.
Okay.
That's going to really inflate those numbers a little bit.
Okay, I can buy into that.
But the Kirk Cousins, I just want to go over his numbers for the last, from 2015 to 2017.
Okay.
He's completed 67% of his passes. He's thrown for 13,000 yards in 3 years and has 81 touchdowns to 36 interceptions during that time. He's got a quarterback rating of 97.5 over the last 3 seasons. Now that is he's only 29 years old.
Yep.
He's 4 or 5 years younger than Alex Smith. I think he's got the brighter football ahead of him. So I think that they made the wrong move here. I think they gave a lot of money to a quarterback who's aging, a quarterback who's not known for throwing the ball downfield. Now, like I said, Tyreek Hill inflates those numbers for him.
Yeah, no, and I think if Washington can actually add some, and his numbers, Kirk Cousins' numbers dipped this past season as opposed to the previous season because they lost to Deshaun Jackson that we were talking about before. Pierre Garçon and Jordan Reed, and yeah, those are definitely huge losses. And it's not just one thing where you lose one receiver; it's you lose your
whole offense.
Your 3 top targets, and then Thompson
went down
and he nice scat back. But so yeah, I understand that, but just the inconsistency this year. If when you look at Tom Brady, when you look at Aaron Rodgers, when you look at those high level quarterbacks, it doesn't matter who is their receiver. I'm not saying Alex Smith is that guy, but I know Alex Smith is a great game manager. He has managed games perfectly for years and years, and over the past few seasons with the Kansas City Chiefs, the Chiefs are 0-3 in playoff games under Alex Smith, but he has 15 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. So it clearly was not him, and this is before, not just with Tyreek Hill, not just with, they had Kelsey, but not just with a great running game, but he really managed the game perfect for them, and in those playoff games he balled out. So I can't really blame the Redskins for doing this. What they did was they took an issue that they had. They did not love Kirk Cousins, and they took that issue and they solved it. And there's no more confusion who's going to be the quarterback for the Washington Redskins over the next couple seasons, because you have Alex Smith, because you have a great game manager.
Little fun fact, the Redskins really screwed up by not signing Cousins 3 years ago when he was offered.
Yeah.
I think it was $19.5 million per, 40 guaranteed.
Would have been a bargain.
Yeah, and now they paid 2 years, $44 million, so they actually gave him more money over 2 years than they would have.
Yeah.
So
and they gave Alex Smith guaranteed $71 million. That's the 3rd most in NFL history.
Yeah, it's a lot. And something I wanted to add to that is that, do you think the Redskins defense is better than the Chiefs defense? Because the Chiefs defense is collapsing like that. What is the Redskins defense going to do in the playoffs when it comes time for it? Because I think the Chiefs have better offensive playmakers. So Alex Smith is only throwing the ball 5, 7, 8 yards downfield. You got Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey balling out for him. Who's going to do that on the Redskins?
Yeah, no, they definitely need to make some acquisitions on the offensive side of the ball. They do have Doxson. I think he's a really good player. Vernon Davis, he's a nice backup tight end, but not. They need to.
He's past his prime.
Yeah, they also need to solve that issue. But I think the Redskins' defense is actually pretty decent. But they were killed by injuries. I think they have a really good defensive line. I love Ryan Kerrigan, and I think they really put pressure on the quarterback. They were able to stop the run when they were healthy. So they do have some moves that they need to make to really compete for the NFC East, and that NFC East is looking mighty tough with the Eagles and the Cowboys, and so and
the Giants will be back in action next year. I fully believe it.
The Giants, they'll always be there. So they do need to make some moves, but Kirk Cousins wasn't going to be the answer for them, and they were going to have to pay a lot of money to Kirk Cousins, a lot more than I think they would have had to pay Alex Smith, and I think they got Alex Smith for a fair price.
And I'm actually really happy as a New York Jets fan that Kirk Cousins is now on the market, because the one thing that my team, and yes, I will say my team because I've been a fan my whole life, we've been missing a quarterback for however many years since Joe Namath.
Well,
really.
this leads me to my next question. Where do you think Kirk Cousins goes?
I think he ends up on the Jets.
Okay.
Right now we only have they only have about 77 or 73 million, something like that, in cap space. Which it's like the third most so far. They're gonna cut milk. They're gonna cut milk. They're gonna cut Mo Wilkerson. They're gonna cut Buster Screen. They're gonna cut a couple of other players. They're looking at about 105 million in cap space. They can still give Kirk Cousins about 30 to 32.5 million per year. They'll give him the most guaranteed money ever, and they'll still have about 75 million to spend on other places. And then you don't have to spend that 6th pick on a quarterback. You can spend it on a Minka Fitzpatrick, as we just discussed, or Saquon Barkley, which really solidifies 2 positions that the Jets really need. So I think he ends up on the Jets. But if I had to give 3 teams I think he ends up on, it would be the Jets 1, Broncos 2, Browns 3.
Okay, yeah, no, I have the Broncos 1, and I actually have the Jets 2. The reason why I think the Broncos makes more sense to him is because the John Elway quarterback being the GM factor, and I know we've talked about it off the air, but I actually think the Jets are really dysfunctional. I know you see a lot of promise in them coming up, but I really don't see it. I hate this team. This team I do not cheer for. But if I was a Jets fan, I'd be furious just with how things have been going. So that's why I really hope, if I was a Jets fan, I would really hope they get Cousins, because that would kind of turn things around a little bit. But I just don't see that. If I was a quarterback and I had to choose between the Jets or the Broncos, I would choose the Broncos, even if I was money hungry. But if I was money hungry, I would just go to the Browns, because the Browns have more cap space than the Jets.
Well, the reason that I say the Jets is because the Jets and the Browns cap space is going to basically be neck and neck when it comes
when they cut those players.
When it comes time to being able to sign Kirk Cousins. And the reason that I don't really like Denver, and they're quarterback needy, and they have a pretty good team right now, yes, but they're an aging team. They're an older team.
They are an aging team.
So Kirk Cousins may not.
But I mean, Kirk Cousins, he is 29. It's not like that is the prime of his career, but he's only got quarterbacks get hurt all the time.
So, but if he's looking for the future, and if he's trying to play 7 to 8, 9 more years, I think the best fit for him, he may not win year 1, but I think in year 2, 3, 4, and 5, he can get this team to the playoffs.
Yeah,
but there's a lot that has to go there. Well, they have to draft right. They have to sign the right free agents. If we're talking right now, I totally agree with you. I just think moving to the future, if you do get a Kirk Cousins, more free agents will want to sign.
Yeah, obviously, if they can get Kirk Cousins, it's going to be a huge increase for the Jets, and that it'll be more attractive, especially if they can sign him on the first day or the second day of free agency. Then it'll attract more players, and more players in the draft would be more excited about going to the Jets. It's just with the Broncos, they got offensive weapons on that team, and
yes, they do.
And that's something I think that the Jets really lack. And I think as a quarterback, when you see the team has weapons and all they need is a quarterback on the offensive side of the ball, then I'm gonna end up going there. And this Broncos team, they have lost some members on the defense, but they still have Von Miller. They still have the captain of their defense, and I think that's really going to. And they were a good defense that got injured last year, and yes, they're old, and yes, they could be losing a couple of players. Aqib Talib is up in the air. We'll see what happens with him. But I could also see him maybe going to the Cardinals, because as long as Larry Fitzgerald decides to stay, I could see him wanting to go there. And I think if the Giants wanted to, they could go after Kirk Cousins. And the reason why I say this is because if they go after Kirk Cousins, it's the free agency is before the draft. They get Kirk Cousins, now they no longer have to rely on a quarterback, Sam Darnold or Josh Rosen. They can get Saquon Barkley, or they can go defense with Fitzpatrick.
Or they can trade back.
Exactly.
And gain picks.
Yeah, exactly. But I think because with the Jets, if they go with Cousins, and Cousins agrees with them, they get Cousins, I could possibly see them being forced to trade back because of let's say, all right, we'll say quarterback goes number 1, but then the Giants, what if they take Barkley, and then whoever's third, it's slipping me right now, but what if they're like, you know what, we don't really think that this other quarterback is our guy, so we're going to end up going defense, and then the Jets, so they take Fitzpatrick, and then the Jets are sitting there looking at a quarterback when they already took a quarterback, and maybe they have to trade back.
And that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because you can get a lot of talent. Look at Tom Brady. Look at there's a lot of players out there that have gotten drafted in the later rounds.
You can get the kid from Wyoming in the second round, probably.
But I don't think if they get Kirk Cousins, I think that it just opens up a lot of opportunities.
Yeah.
So that I just think that they have now shifted their entire focus onto getting Kirk Cousins this offseason and then playing the draft out from there. But we shall see. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. And he said he wanted to play for Cleveland, so that is not out of the question.
He did say that. So, yeah. I have Broncos as my number 1 team for him to go. Jets number 2, Cardinals 3, Browns 4, and then I have the Giants as a long shot 5th.
Very quickly though, if he goes to the Giants, what happens to Eli?
They get rid of him. I think under the new regime that they would be fine with or not get rid of him, but they would. He's put your bench riding for the next year or so until
Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, that's.
Tom Coughlin.
I'm not even going to address that at all. You're making me very, very upset right now. But wait. There is another major thing going on this weekend in the world of football. Yeah, it's the freaking Super Bowl. We have the Philadelphia Eagles. We have the New England Patriots in Minnesota. It is a die-for matchup. I know you're absolutely loving this matchup.
Hold on for 1 second. I need to go barf.
Oh man, but yeah, no. To me, this is a great matchup. I think when you have a Boston team and a Philadelphia team going for the title, yeah, I know as a New York fan, that's got to be the worst thing for you.
Turning Amish for one day.
I want to brag for just 1 minute here.
Go ahead.
Because I had the New England Patriots winning the Super Bowl, getting to the Super Bowl and winning it. We'll see if that happens. But I also had the Philadelphia Eagles as my dark horse team, and you said I was dumb. Eddie said I was dumb. Everybody, I had the Giants finishing last, so they thought I was ridiculous, and then having the Eagles win this division. So I just wanted to. I didn't have them in the Super Bowl. I didn't think they were going to go that far. I didn't know Carson Wentz was going to be that good. But it wasn't even Carson Wentz. It was Nick Foles. Who would have known about that?
I tip my cap to you.
So I wish we continued doing the sports picks all through the playoffs, and I think I would have had the slight edge on you on that one. But I'm not salty about it at all.
Yes, you would have. You would have won the bet if we went through the playoffs because I have not done so well.
Maybe we'll have to do that for next year. But this game, going into the game, I think everybody's been telling me, oh, New England's gonna win. I'm not even gonna watch. I'm gonna protest the Super Bowl because screw New England, and I don't even want to watch it at all. And they're just going to end up winning it. And I think those people are completely insane. I think the Eagles are a very good team. And honestly, if they had Carson Wentz, I think they'd be the favorites in this game right now. But this game's going to be really close because they have studs all across the offense, wide receivers, running backs, and their defense. Whew, that defense looks scary good, especially that front seven.
The Eagles look to be, they're one big community. They're like one big family. They're not letting anything get in the way of them, and that's what I like about them. I hate the Philadelphia Eagles. I hate Philly teams. I hate Boston teams. This is the worst possible Super Bowl matchup I could have asked for as a football fan, but I respect the fact that Tom Brady's the GOAT. I respect the fact that the Eagles are not letting anything get in the way, that they're one big family, they're one big team.
Yeah.
They have a lot of camaraderie with each other, and I think that will go a long way. That's what's going to keep them in this game, because if you have to go who has more talent, the Patriots have more talent. The Patriots should win this game without a Carson Wentz on the field, right? But I think it'll be closer than a lot of people think.
Yeah, no, and I actually want to bring up one point. New England right now, they are a 4-point favorite. When this game first lined up, they were a 7-point favorite. So it's changed 3 points. Nothing has changed. All I know is Gronk is now definitely playing, but the line has still gone down. It's still closed. But I just want to ask you this here. Okay, let's assume that we knew that it was going to be the Eagles and the Patriots, and we just said, you know what, you two are in the Super Bowl, we're not going to play any playoff games, you two are in the Super Bowl right now. So we cancel out the 2 games that New England has played in the playoffs against Tennessee and Jacksonville, and we cancel out the 2 games that Philadelphia has played against Minnesota and Atlanta. Would you really think this much of Nick Foles? Because I think a lot of this, why the line is at 4 right now, is because we saw Nick Foles torch a Minnesota Vikings defense that was either the number 1 or the number 2 best defense in the entire league. And I'm sitting here thinking, if we didn't see any of that, the last game we have of him is 1 minute against the Cowboys. The game before that, the whole game against the Raiders, does nothing against the Raiders, who's like the worst defense in the NFL. how are we not saying that this is a 10-point, New England's a 10-point favorite or 9.5-point favorite? Like,
it definitely has to do with the way he's played over the last couple of games, and the Eagles. I've said that we're going to lose both weeks, so I'm part of that community that said the Eagles are done. The Eagles are done. The Eagles are done. I am part of that. They have proven me wrong. And quickly, I wanted to bring up something about Gronk very quickly because you had mentioned him.
Yeah.
I was told that they actually waited to clear him until all the media was done because he's not allowed to talk to the media.
Yeah.
He's got a concussion. I thought that was pretty funny. And one other thing that Bill Belichick said that I have to mention. What is different from this Super Bowl appearance than all the other Super Bowl appearances that you've been in? His answer? This one's in Minnesota.
Yeah, but we pretty funny meme we have posted on the page about that. I saw you.
Yes.
Yeah, no, he's a freaking riot with these things, and I mean he should smile a little more because he has some funny jokes.
Well, there was a meme actually about Bill Belichick showing it was a picture of him hugging Matt Patricia really quick, and he was smiling, and then as soon as they got really close, he was like all scrunched up. I was like, Bill Belichick tried to show emotion, immediately regretted it, and I got a laugh out of it. But this is, you know what? This is the ideal matchup. 2 number 1 seeds.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are the only number 1 seed over the past 4 seasons who did not make the Super Bowl. So that's an interesting fact. I really believe that these 2 teams are the best teams. They have proven that over the course of the playoffs. And you know what? I tip my hat to both of them. I hate them both. I wish that this game would end in 2 losses somehow, but that's not going to happen. And to the best team win.
All right, quickly, let's just run through this game here. I think New England is going to win this game. I think it's going to be very, very close, but here's why I think New England is going to win. New England is very good at taking away other teams' number 1 option. What is the number 1 option in Philadelphia right now? And I'm going to say it's the running game with LeGarrette Blount and Jay Ajayi. I think that, and the other guy that they have, the third back that they have, is also really good. So I think they're going to take away, New England's defense is going to take away that Philly running game like they did against Jacksonville. And this isn't a good team against the run, but when they need to be, they're situationally good. And that's what blows my mind about this team every single year. You think in the 5th week of the season, this team's terrible, but by playoff time, they play great situational defense. And they're going to make Foles do it again like they did. They made Bortles do it again. He almost did it, not quite good enough. And I think it's going to be the same kind of thing again with Foles. Prove to me that you can beat me with your arm. And I think that's going to be the big thing. And I don't think Foles is going to be able to do that throughout the entire game. I can see him maybe being able to do that the first quarter, second quarter, but I don't think so for the entire game.
It's too much pressure for Foles. He's going to be a career backup. He'll probably get a starting job out of this. He won't be with the Eagles next year.
He might go to Arizona.
He'll probably be benched halfway through the season. Let's be real here. But you gotta tip your cap to what he's done so far this year.
Absolutely.
He's really stepped up. He's really solidified,
especially against Minnesota.
Yeah, that's a tough defense to play. I think Minnesota really they were so hyped on the last week's game.
Yeah,
there was
absolutely.
too many distractions for them.
Completely agree.
So, but this is, like you said, it's gonna be very tight. I expect the Patriots to try to take away the run. If the Eagles are gonna win, it's got to be on Nick Foles' back. But I think this is gonna be Brady's best game.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I think New England's game plan, they're gonna feed Gronk early and very often. When we see Gronk is healthy, we saw that Super Bowl against Seattle, Gronk was unstoppable in that game. And I think that the running backs for this team, they're just James White, Deion Lewis, and Rex Burkhead. Like Philly's gonna have a tough time dealing with all 3 of those.
They're always refreshed. They're always refreshed. 3 guys rotating in and out. It's just impossible to stop.
Yeah, no, and then they'll start like James White for the first quarter and a half of the game. Then they'll throw Deion Lewis in for a series, and he'll blow everybody away. And then they go back to James White, and then in the middle of the third quarter, they're going to give you Rex Burkhead, somebody you haven't seen for the entire game, and he's going to pop one off. And so I think it's going to be very tough for Philly to handle those 3 different styles of backs. And also, New England's a team on defense. They bend, but they never ever break. And I think that's one of the toughest things to deal with when you're looking at a quarterback who struggled to find the end zone over the course of the 5 weeks that he's played. Yes, he had a nice game the first week against the Giants, a nice week last week against Minnesota, but to me that's more of an anomaly than what's actually factual.
If the Eagles win this game, this is going to be Nick Foles should retire after this, number one. And number two, this will be the best game he'll ever play in his life, and that's why he should retire.
Better than the 7-touchdown game he had?
Yes. Seriously, though.
Yeah.
Seriously, if they're going to beat the Patriots, now it's not beating the Patriots on a regular day. This is beating the Patriots in the Super Bowl. The Patriots rise to another level in the Super Bowl. You're talking about the greatest coach of all time, the greatest quarterback of all time, the greatest team of all time. And I'm not just talking about this season team. I'm just talking about franchise. This team is now, if they win this, they're going to have the most Super Bowls in NFL history, I believe. Tied with the Steelers for 6. So, and it's funny though. I was thinking about it earlier. We saw that catch by Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
If they miss that touchdown, the Steelers have home field in the playoffs over the Patriots.
Interesting.
Oddly enough, I wonder how that turns around.
Yeah, interesting.
But going back to the point, Patriots are the team to beat. They are the gold standard, and if you're gonna win the Super Bowl, you want to beat the gold standard. So I think the Eagles were rooting to face the Patriots in this game.
Yeah, I my final score, I have New England 24, and I have Philly 16 because I think Philly's going to be kicking a lot of field goals in this game. What about you?
I've got 24-21. I think it's going to be a tie game late in the fourth quarter, and Gostkowski's going to come through in the clutch.
Okay, all right, so 24-21. That's the same thing as Super Bowl 39 when they faced each other 12 years ago, whatever the hell it was.
I didn't even remember that, and that's the score I choose, oddly enough. So, what are the odds?
Yeah, well, it should be a really good Super Bowl. I'm gonna watch. I'm not even going to be. Obviously I want New England to win. I want New England to win because I'm a fan, and also because I want to be right. I mean, that's honestly more important to me. Just being right about it but I'm not going to be this. To me, this isn't one I'm going to be completely distraught over if they lose. It's just I don't know. It's just that's. I could be a bad fan for that, but it's not going to tear me apart.
The Jags are really your number one team.
But I mean, I follow the Patriots just as close as I follow the Jags. I mean,
last 2 weeks ago must have been really, really tough for you.
Yeah, well, let's not get into that. There's no need. There's a lot of shady things that
happened in that game.
Yeah, but it's all right. But coming up next week, we have an absolutely loaded show, just as loaded as today's. We're going to be talking about the GOAT of GOATs. Can Brady take the lead if he wins another Super Bowl? Also, we're going to be diving deep into Michigan State with Larry Nassar and the effects it should have on the program and what it will have on the program, whether it's the Michigan State itself, the athletic department, the whole Big Ten as far as everything goes, Tom Izzo, Mike D'Antonio. All of that we're going to be covering. You're listening to Between the Hashmarks.